Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome. Let's see who's here. All right, I've got a good signal, always a good sign. QB, Rationalese 26, Autumn Nichols, Kai Lucas Zachary, Lynn's Effect. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so you might have seen the thumbnail that I had, and it showed this image of our flag. Now, there's something that you might know is a little bit suspicious here is these stars. This is actually how I remember them being. Somebody brought this up. Let me see, who was that? Work Dove, which is a commenter, who is a commenter on my channel, mentioned that they remembered a different combination of columns and lines and them being lined up. And when that person said that, I also remember that. And I dug around on Google search, and I did find this one old image. This is a lot like how I remember it. I remember the stars bigger like this and just stacked on top of each other. Now, you might, if you really think about it, you might realize there's one problem with here is that there's not an easy way to make 50 stars on here and have them come out all even. Now, I do have this vague memory of them saying, the teachers saying that for the last few states, they were too lazy to change the flag and that there should be 50 stars, but there wasn't. So I think that pretty much explains it, but for my timeline anyway. But you could do like 5 and 10 rows and maybe make the spacing a bit different. But no, I remember the spacing being really even like this. This is really how I remember it. So I decided to make it the thumbnail. We're still in the white stripe underneath the blue timeline that we've been in a couple weeks. Before that, it was the red, and I think it's flipped a few times. I've talked about that one before. But anyway, so this is actually the flag that I do remember, and I'm going to go through a couple of these images, and then we'll go back to that when I get back. Well, actually, I think I can jump to it here. Let's look at American flag now. As a reminder, so you can see now it's they're staggered like this, and that's really just not how I remember it. Now that I really think about it, I think it's been this way a while. Also, a lot of the flags that I see are showing the stars is really dinky. I just don't remember ever seeing them all tiny like that. I remember them more like this one, just big stars, and you don't see many like that anymore. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting too. So good job, Work Dove. I agree with you. That is not how I remember it. Okay, let's shut this one down. This one. Okay. Here's another one I just wanted to bring attention to is this face keeps changing here on the Sphinx, but one thing that seems to be growing is this bump right here. Now, this is supposed to be the nose that in this timeline was not hit by a cannonball, and that's just a wives' tale in this timeline, but was actually pried off with pry bars, and you can see the scrapes here. But what is this? A lot of the nose is missing, but I mean, how fat does the nose have to have this bump here? There's something really going on with this whole front of the face here, so haven't figured that one out yet. And of course, there's the old ME that it has ears now, and that the headdress looks different. Another thing I've been noticing lately is there's a color variation between here and here that I did not used to see. The whole thing is looking really plastered. This whole neck region plaster splatter gets bigger and bigger. So there's constant changes on here, and I don't even know what to make of it all. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, this one I haven't visited in a while. You can see it as that weird bump now. That one's been there a while. The one thing that I'm noticing different, I mentioned before that the toe is coming out of the circle. It's out a lot more now. One thing I've been looking at for a few weeks, though, is that these 2 feet, the way the feet are arrayed and the angles. So originally for me, all the feet were pointing up along the circle so that it was symmetrical. Then we started to see that a few of the feet had weird turns. Well, the last time I looked, this foot and this foot were not both facing forward. It was more like this one was facing up a little, this one was facing forward, this was angled a bit, and this one was angled a lot. But now, which one's angled which is keep changing. This one used to be only angled a bit, and this one was angled a lot. Now those two have reversed. This one has turned again. So, just crazy, crazy, crazy. See what everybody's up to on here. Front feet used to be straightforward, I think. You know, that one's, I know that these two were not the same. I think that one of these was angled a bit, and this one was angled a lot, and then that one was angled out. I don't remember if it was a bit or a lot, but it was out some. Because the original one, they were all angled away from the center. So there's something changing constantly with that one. Did I notice God is lower than Adam? Yes, yes. I covered that last week, but I wanted to bring up a couple more things that I noticed on it just earlier today. He's only got one snake. I don't know who we're talking about. Hit with cannonball. Shari D, in my old timeline, it was said that the nose fell off because it was hit by a cannonball. Excuse me. Got to sneeze. Got to sneeze. Okay. Yeah, for a while there. I don't remember what it was really long time ago, but about 8 years ago, they said it was hit by a cannonball and fell off. And now that's a wives' tale, and it was pried off. I think way back, what I remember is they didn't know how it fell off. So that's why I think that was what it was way back. So the cannonball thing kind of surprised me. But I figured they'd learn more things. That's why they knew about the cannonball. But anyway, the cannonball thing is now an old wives' tale, and it's been pried off. Those pry marks were not all gouged into the face for me originally. Butterfly crop circle has feet like this painting used to. Okay, now I have to look. Butterfly crop circle. Watch out, the skeptics will say that you're confusing the painting with the crop circle. Yeah, they were split out, but then there was 3 sets originally. Then it got down to 2 sets. I think right around when it got down to 2 sets is also when the feet changed. This is a better image of it. Yeah, they were kind of angled up that they followed like he was standing on the circle, was how it was for me. Okay. Okay, so just keeping an eye on that one. The eye, Mandela Effect did notice the face is no longer symmetrical. If you really look at it, it looks like 2 different faces glued together, but this dark eye is getting darker and darker. So it's getting more and more weird looking, and he's looking a little bit more miserable, I think. But the difference between the 2 sides of the face has gotten more extreme. But that's kind of a mild one compared to a lot. Okay, this one is an Emmy for me because this is one of my indicator photos, and this one is Lincoln here. Used to see Lincoln's eye, and I used to say that you could just see there was a cutoff spot right at the edge of his eye. Now you can't see anything in here. I don't even know what's going on in here, but you sure as heck can't see his eye anywhere. The hair has also gotten more hair-like. See this scrapey area? There used to be a lot more scrapey area on here. And also it used to come out further on here. So this hair is new right in here. This head has turned away. You used to be able to see it, but that's been a little bit of a while. You also could not see the lapel. But just recently, this head has turned. I can't even tell how it's turned. I mean, you can't see what's going on right here, but there used to be an eye there. So I don't remember this little circle thing either, actually. So some changes in there. All right. So those are the 4 indicator photos that I saw some changes on. All right, now let's get to creation of Adam. Ah, spider. Excuse me. One of those daddy long legs. That's twice now. Last week there was a spider attack too. I remember the nose being knocked off by a Muslim to demonstrate it wasn't a god because people were venerating it as one. Huh, I have not heard that one. Excuse me. Yeah, that's a new one. It was we didn't know. Then it was some kind of was it British or something that did the canon. It was not any foreigners. It was white people. I remember that much. Knocked it off. Hopefully I'm not coming down with a cold here. In my time, I didn't know what happened to the nose. I think that's how it was originally for me for a long time. Even the wiki article is all over the place. Yeah. When the shifts come, sometimes the wikis make hardly any sense. I heard the nose had been used for target practice. Yeah, that was the story for the cannonball one. That there was a target practice theme built into that cannonball story, for me anyways. Has anyone heard of trace element molybdenum? I'd like to know when they first knew about it. I have heard of molybdenum, maybe about 8 years ago, probably was when I heard of it. Yeah, it might have been Napoleon's men who fired the cannon at the Sphinx. I'm a little fuzzy in who it was, but it was something like that. More like it wives' tale now, but it wasn't for a while. I swear I'll never look at an old wives' tale in the same way now because so many things that used to be fact are now wives' tales. You have to wonder how many wives' tales that you heard that used to be fact. The Last Supper changed again. The lines on the floor gone. You know, the trick with the Last Supper is there's so many versions of it now. You have to save one onto your computer and only check that one. And that's what I did. And I actually just checked for lines earlier. Here's my indicator MEs. And they were still there for my saved one. See, lines on the floor. In fact, now that you mention it, it was kind of a minor thing, so I wasn't going to make a thing out of it, but they are darker for me. Especially this one here is very dark here. This one looks weirdly faded, but they have definitely intensified for me. Somebody mentioned about the color of the fluid in the drinks. You know, for me, they were all wooden cups, and so you couldn't see what was in them. So the drinks themselves with the red fluids, I'm not sure on that one. And unfortunately, I didn't write that one down, so I don't know who mentioned that. But somebody said they thought that the fluid colors change. It could be, it could be. So I didn't see too many changes in here lately other than that, which is why I wasn't going to really bring it up. But so that one that I just showed is sort of a the original now is almost, you can't hardly see it because it's in such bad condition. And so that's kind of a artistic reproduction of what they think it might have looked like. There's a number of versions of those, and they're each a little different. So that's why you really have to just pick one. The bread appeared on all versions of the Last Supper. Yeah, see, the versions are just like interpretations because the original is in such poor quality now. Before, the original was in pretty good quality, so we knew what we could just look at the original and see it. But now you can't. It's so fuzzy, you can't see it. Where is the dishes under? Oh, okay, wait. I'm bringing it back. Where is the dishes under the guy on the left? Yeah, I just didn't have the table contents that memorized, and it's not really clear, so I can't really comment on that one. Two women. In this timeline, it's hard to tell women from men. Is that supposed to be a woman? I don't think so. I think Mary's the only one. But I mean, you can't really easily tell now. Yeah, the clothing might be brighter. I wouldn't swear to that one though. Let's see. The movie Da Vinci Code says clearly no single cup on the scene about the Last Supper. Could be. That might be some residual. The lady in red on left of Jesus. Jesus is left? I think those are all supposed to be men. Our left, that's Mary, right? The one female. Yeah, it does look a lot Disney, Bill Bird. I agree with you. It's not like it was. It used to be just, I don't know, it just used to be more classic looking. Yeah, Jesus does not look very manly. I agree with you there. The paintings used to depict him very manly, and the men too. The movie Cowboys versus Aliens changed. I love that movie. The title changed. It's not Cowboys versus Aliens anymore. Oh, it's Cowboys. Are you serious? It's Cowboys and Aliens? It was not Cowboys and Aliens. Who found that one? That was a good find. Yeah, it was Cowboys versus Aliens before. Cowboys and Aliens. Now it sounds more friendly anyways. Cowboys and Aliens. Yeah, nope, that's not right. I wonder, is that on one of the YouTube videos? I haven't. I'm way behind. I'm like 3 days behind on comments, and I have not been watching the YouTube videos this week. So there was no woman in the supper painting for me. There's been one for me for at least 2 years. I really did not know it super well until the Emmy, where I started watching it. I knew about the Emmy about 2 years ago, so that's when I started watching. Yeah, it could well be. I did not know it really well before. I've heard new theories that Jesus was on the end and it's a woman in the middle. They all half of them look like women now, so I don't know. Mary and her sister are in there now? Wait, which one is the sister? This is so bad you can't even tell. Mary and her, is that the sister? I'm gonna guess that's the sister. I don't think it's that one. That guy has a beard. So yeah, I would guess it's that one. Oh, that's a trip. I'll have to look that up. Let's see. There was not two. Is that John or Mary Magdalene next to Jesus? Leonardo was known for painting effeminate men. I don't remember him being known for painting effeminate men. Who is the woman in the painting of the Last Supper? All right, in the Templar Revelation, Lynn Picnic and Clive Prince propose that the figure to the left of Jesus is... Oh, wait. Wait, isn't that Mary there? Are they crazy? Or I guess it's the ME, but... Okay, so now they're saying Mary Magdalene is not in the Last Supper. That's weird. Because she was one of the followers. That's why she was in there. There was never any question that she was one of the followers. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Okay, I don't know what to say. My stream status is bad. Hopefully you're still getting it. Mary is at Jesus' left. Yeah, well, according to this, they're saying that that it's John. It is not a woman in the painting, but if it were, the image would be contrary to Scripture. That, okay, so let me just click on this and make sure, but... that is not Mary Magdalene. The idea never occurred to Da Vinci. They laugh at the idea of it being a woman. It is John who leaned on Christ's chest. It is gospel. John never used his own name, but referred to him as a disciple whom Jesus loved. Those who assert Mary Magdalene was the person in the painting base it on Da Vinci Code novel. Okay, so as best I can tell, there's no Mary Magdalene in the Last Supper. Look, why aren't there any girls at the Last Supper? That's not right. Oh, no, I totally disagree with that one. At least for the last 2 years, that was Mary Magdalene. I totally disagree with that. That's a trip. So, yeah, Life Matrix, it's not Mary Magdalene anymore. She was one of the disciples. Is she not one of the disciples now? She was absolutely one of the disciples. Magdalene. I just want to see if she's still one of the disciples. In the Gospel of Mary, which isn't officially recognized, Mary Magdalene is framed as the only disciple who truly understands Jesus. All right, so... traveled as one of his followers, but was she one of the 13? She was one of the 13 for me, though. Yeah, she was one of the apostles. Okay, so she was. Okay, well, she was still one of the apostles anyway. Okay. All right, so back to the creation of Adam anyways. What, it's not 13 anymore? All right, well... Yeah, it just called her one of the apostles, though, there. So she was one of the apostles in the current timeline. I don't see why they think it would be so weird she'd be in the Last Supper if she was one of the apostles. Now they're saying, "Oh, he wouldn't have a woman at his table." Jesus wasn't like, "Oh, women can't sit at my table." He was never that kind of person in my timeline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so if there's 12 apostles and Mary Magdalene was one of them, then if she's not in there, who's in there instead? If that's not her. See, it always made sense that they were all in there. Each one of them was depicted. If she's an apostle, she's not depicted, then I'm still confused about this. All right, see here, it's just saying followers. But you can be a follower and an apostle. All right, interpreted by New Testament references as a repentant prostitute. Now, I heard that that's a mistake. For a long time, they said that was a mistake and that was a different Mary. The Mary Magdalene version was not a prostitute ever. So, are they saying that that's true now, that she was a prostitute again? All right, it seems that her status as an apostle in the years after Jesus' death rivaled even that of Peter. So she's a prostitute. Is she a prostitute again in this time? Oh my God. No, that's not. For years and years and years, it was always, oh, Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute. Another Mary was in the Bible, was a prostitute, and the two were unfairly conflated. By doing this, he established the absolute equality of Mary Magdalene to the apostles, something that has never been done before. So in this one, if she's equal to the apostles, she's not an apostle. There's something funny going on with this. I don't know, that's going to take some sorting out, but I remember this rumor that Mary Magdalene might have been wife of Jesus. She was definitely an apostle. Mark Goodacre on whether Mary Magdalene was an apostle. So what? It's not decided now. It really looks like she was a prostitute in this timeline. Oh. Yeah, no, she wasn't. That's not right. Dark will stand. They get that from the sentence here. It states Mary Magdalene is there. Then the next sentence is, it says there was a prostitute there also. The Catholic Church smeared her into a prostitute. Yeah, I remember it being wrong, but I'm having some problems finding that wrong. Let's just see. There should be something that refutes it. See here. They're saying, oh, we don't know anything more, nor can we say that she was a prostitute. They're not refuting it anymore. in my timeline though, she definitely wasn't a prostitute. It was just a an old wives' tale and a conflation. There are three particular characters involved in the controversy: Mary Magdalene, a follower of our Lord; the anonymous penitent woman; and Mary of Bethany. In the West, the three characters are always identified as Saint Mary Magdalene. However, in the East, the three characters have remained separate. Oh, that's not right. It was always that in the no, that is not right. In the West, it was always that she wasn't. Well, at least for years and years, it was that she wasn't, and people. It was just an effort by priests to keep the woman down and like that. And it was clearly in the Bible that she wasn't, though. It was a different Mary. It was. They said that the confusion was that both of them had the same first name, Mary, but it was a different character. So that's really changed. So in this timeline, she might be a prostitute, but we don't know. And it's a matter of interpretation. In my old timeline, she wasn't. And she was an apostle. She was at the Last Supper because she was an apostle. In this timeline, she doesn't seem to be clearly an apostle. So, wow. Okay. All of that because you guys noticed something weird. Good job. Secure Team 10 has been posting videos about strange booms. You know that I've been hearing things about that for the last 2 years. Weird booms and those weird like trumpet noises. It was even theorized that she was married to Jesus in those days, as a Hebrew woman could not travel alone. I do remember that there was some rumor that she wasn't just an apostle, but that was not official canon, so to speak. It was just guesswork. Shari D. Sorry, but Catholic Church's men's club, no women allowed. Well, she was an apostle before, and even though that story that you just said, that later the Catholic Church wanted to be a men's club, is why they conflated Mary Magdalene with a different Mary that was the prostitute. But they couldn't change the basic fact that Mary was an apostle. So I guess that's not a basic fact anymore, though. Yeah, no, Mary was an apostle for me, for sure. I mean, there was a lot of hooing and hawing about that, but Jesus was not going to say that only men could be apostles. That's not the kind of person he was in my timeline, anyways. So even though the Catholic Church 2 and 79, I don't think it even had 12 for me originally. I don't think any of them had more than like 3 or 4. I don't remember any of them. So that goes against the Emmy pattern for me as well. She's was not a hooker. In this timeline, it's not determined. In this timeline, the East said no and the West said yes due to vagueness in the language of the Bible. But we know the Bible's changing all the time, so has there been a Mag 6 lately? Was there a magnitude 6 over there by Guam? Palau, by Palau. Well, Guam and Palau, they're pretty close. That planetary alignment thing where all the planets were on the same side of the sun. Uh, People are saying that that is associated with more earthquakes. All right, so eventually I will stop talking and we will get to this one. Okay. We've discussed before that God has sunk down. I mean, originally God was much higher and further off, and then he sunk down, and then he got closer, and so he was even Steven for a long time, but now God is a tad below. There's a couple other changes, and this one is very recent. This hand here originally was not here. This person was on his own side, and I've been watching this hand get closer and closer. And about a year ago, I said to myself, I wonder if eventually that hand will touch Adam, and it's really, really, really close to touching now. It's about as close as you can get and maybe still not touching. I find that really weird. The other thing is that this thing that he's holding has changed. This used to have some kind of brownish things in them, and it was like a cornucopia kind of a thing. I kind of joked that it was like the missing Fruit of the Loom cornucopia was here sneaking up on Adam, but it's not anymore. It's not a cornucopia, and it has some unidentifiable green things in there. So that's changed. Another thing that's changed is you can now see Adam's toes under the knee, and I've noticed that for about 2 weeks, and every time I look at it, I keep saying, what are those things under his knee? Oh yeah, it's his toes. Those were not like that. The man parts continue to shrink smaller and smaller. You can see a huge gap between the toes, the big toe and the little one. That did not used to be like that. I am pretty sure that this used to be bluish in here, and now it's not. And what's up with this blue streak up here? That's just weird. The other thing I've noticed is a lot of images are showing the clothing of God as pinkish. They aren't all showing it that way, but a lot of them are. This area here is a little bit less. For a while it was like ridiculously red. Now it has toned back a little bit and it's kind of pink on the edges. Well, it's starting to look like it's pink. It used to be screaming red for a while. Originally it wasn't, but for quite some time it was screaming red. Here's the thing I really noticed today, and that's these beams here now cut off the end of this fabric, and that was never the case. There was space back here before. The whole thing is so crowded now, it's pinched off back here. This was never like this. The last week I'd had trouble finding an image that showed all the way to the end. I was like, what's on the end? I kept looking. If you can't find an image that shows a part you're looking for, look double hard, because a lot of times it means there's a change in that image. It's like when an image is changing, you don't see that part of it easily. And I've really noticed it with this one, that I couldn't find that part of it. Okay, another change I've noticed. About a year ago, this green swath showed up. Now there's some pinkish colored fringy things back here. See right here? I'm going to roll it up. Maybe you can't see it. Okay, so here, see these fringy things? I don't know what's going on with that, but those weren't there before. It was just this green thing. So there's also a bunch of pinkish fringes over here. This was all just the red cowl before. So that is still changing, but mostly it's this whole thing is pinched. It's smaller. I mean, God used to be way up and back, so I don't know if this whole facility is getting smaller or the main images have gotten larger and taking up more room, but there's definitely a pinched space here. There's the spacing here is completely changed. So I mean, look at how tight that is. So I don't know the sizes of it enough to know if these images changed or the facility has changed. But I just don't remember. There was not this kind of pinching before. So anyway. All right, the thinker change. All right, so I'm just going to show a few more images. And this one, God has got much more of a white tone, but there's still a little pink shading. And this thing is really looking pink. The one other thing I really wanted to point out here is these cracks. I just saw those today. There were not prominent cracks everywhere in this image. Goes down into his leg, cuts across here. There's cracks everywhere. And what's interesting is that I occasionally I pull up God and Man, which is the original name for me, often enough just to see, just kind of scroll through. And a lot of the iconography, a lot of the images really prominently highlight these cracks now. So even the close-up shots. Now, for a long time, these close-up shots showed the hands straight across. We found a lot of residual of this hand being higher. You can't find that residual anymore that I've seen. But when the hands were far apart, you never saw any images like this. But when the hands became close, then it became a thing where this was just a symbol by itself of just the hands. But now, even with the symbols, you see these giant cracks. And that's what's really different for me is also all these cracks. Like, for instance, look at this one, all the cracks, and then the hands are there. A lot of them show the cracks. It's not something I would miss because so many of these images are showing it. So it will be interesting to see, is God going to continue to sink? I mean, that's been the pattern. There's not much room left in here, but I guess it could sink down this way. Maybe Adam could come up. There's not a lot of wiggle room in there anymore, so I don't know. It's weird, though. All right, so there's that one. All right, Magdalene. All right, see, somebody said something about the thinker. Now, the trouble with the thinker, if you watched my video a while back, there's so many versions of the thinker now. Apparently, they were all copied by some kind of machine, but each one is a little bit different. Let's see. Now, it looks like he's still eating his hand in this timeline, the best I can tell. The hair is still horrible. There's a person doing it. His face might look a little different, but the hand posture is still the same for me. What's this right here? What is that? That's weird. There's kind of a little fold right here I don't remember. All right, that's not an official version, so... Huh. I don't really see a change. I don't know if you guys... Nothing major. Looks like nipple above Adam's head. Oh, yeah, huh? I see what you're saying. Let's see if I can find those good images. That one doesn't show it as much. Yeah, there is a little... There's like this stray coloration here. Look at that. That's in terrible condition in this timeline. Terrible. Yeah, you're right. I don't remember there being that bump there. And I don't remember this weird slash of blue. Anyway, go on that forever. Autumn Nichols, yeah, I thought his man part looked a little small, but I didn't want to be that person. In my old timeline, it was normal originally. It's been shrinking for years now. There's some kind of story that Da Vinci, I forgot what the story was. There was some kind of weird sounding story that Da Vinci didn't want to distract people, or it had symbolic meaning. I remember that the fingertips were almost touching Adam's hand pointing upwards to God. That was a timeline I was in for a while, but my original timeline, God was much further away. There was like, instead of being here, he was up here, and there was like, the hand was way out here, some distance away. Okay, so there's that one. All right, so this one was interesting. This one was kind of brought up by Bob Bobertson, one of my commenters. He was talking about some things that are associated with being Rh negative. But when I looked up the science, I could not find any science that these things are associated with Rh negative. So I think that they are just in the realm of rumor at this point. That doesn't mean that they won't become fact later. But one of the things that was supposedly associated with it was having a additional vertebrae just below L5. And when I looked into that, they were saying maybe 10% of the population has an additional vertebrae under there. And they're saying for most people it doesn't cause any problems. So they're saying, let's see, I can't remember everything because it was 2 weeks ago when I studied that, but they say it doesn't affect spinal cord function usually. But what's weird is 10%? 10% has an extra vertebrae? Seems unlikely to me. I've never heard of that. It's weird. So I just want to bring that one up. There's so much more variation between people now behind the rare extra bone. But it's not that rare if 10% of the people have it. That's not really rare in my book. Looks like I have intermittent bad signal, so hopefully it's not too buffering for you guys. Buckwheat was not shot in this timeline. I don't know about that one, so I'll take your word for it. The Vatican had just restored the Sistine Chapel before I went. Soon it won't be an extra bone, and those without will be abnormal. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't have their wisdom teeth anymore. It's getting more and more common that, a fair percentage of people are not born with wisdom teeth. In my timeline, everybody was always born with the wisdom teeth. If you weren't, you were really, really rare. But it's not rare anymore. Not rare at all. So, all right, next. I'm not sure if I ever mentioned this one, but this is one I noticed a long time ago. These river otters are 5'6" long. So they're about as big as they're taller than I am. They're longer than I am. The giant river otters. They're ridiculously huge. We just did not have otters that big. See if I can find one that shows the full length. But yeah, 6 feet long almost. We did not have 6-foot long otters. There's not really one showing the whole length. What's that? I don't remember one with a white bib. That's new. Look. That's new. They did not have a white bib last time I saw these either. Oh, weird. Yeah, no. There was no white on them. Okay, that's a trip. So that's a new one. Yeah, look at that thing. Ugh. The river wolf. The heck is a river wolf? Is that the giant otter? So the giant otter is a river wolf now, apparently. Okay, so anyway, look at that. That's a change. I saw these giant otters about 2 years ago, but they did not have the white under their chin at all back then. Very interesting. Right, it doesn't look that super big there, but still. Anyways, those guys are changing. Yeah, look, most of them have this bib now. Huh. I keep seeing you people say 2 moons. No, that's nuts. Yeah, there's 2 moons now. One's just tiny, but I bet you it's going to get bigger. But there really is 2 moons on Earth now. I still laugh at the and love the Transformer Evil Owl. Yes, that one was an interesting one. Eva, did you hear about the Earth now having 2 moons? Is this an Emmy? Yes. I heard about that about maybe 3-4 months ago. I agree with you that it is. Let me see. You know, I want to go over here to... Let me just go to YouTube. You know, I had a whole bunch of windows up and my whole computer crashed. And usually when it crashes, when it boots up again, it will have... You can revive the old windows, but it wouldn't do it today. So I had a lot of things that I wanted to show that are lost. And one of them was, come on, go to there. Why won't it go? It's like stuck on mine. It won't go to, it's at Mr. MBB333. There was a thing about the moon. Why won't it go there? Yeah, my computer is giving me so much trouble. It won't go to any of those on the sidebar. All right, let's try this. Oh, there it is. Now it goes. All right, videos. So he did one on the moon. Let's see if I can find that one. All right. This was an interesting one. Basically, in this video, he talks about how people have been reporting to him for several weeks that the moon tilted. So basically, he says that, quit talking, let me just turn that off. That people are saying that this pattern here had moved up to there and just... Now, we know that the illumination moves around, but the actual where the landmarks on there are not supposed to move around. And so he's been saying that the last 3 weeks, people are all saying that the landmarks have shifted on the moon. And I thought that was interesting. I am not really good at remembering where all the landmarks are, and I have a lot of other things I'm trying to keep in my head, so I have not tried to do that. But when I was reading his messages in here, it was interesting because people were saying that they noticed it, but people were also saying things that he did not even mention. And one of the things that they were saying through here is that they noticed the moon looks a lot brighter. One thing that he had dropped in here is the 2 moons thing. So people were flipping out over the 2 moons thing. Since when? Here, one thing I have actually noticed is the moon is a lot brighter and stays full longer now. So there's a number of comments about it being brighter, and he never mentions anything about it being brighter. But that is one of the things that we Mandela Effect people have noticed. So I thought it was very interesting that we're getting the same observations even on people who have no knowledge of the Mandela Effect. as far as I know. These aren't Mandela people here. They're just saying that it's weird. There was a number of people who said they don't remember it being out and the day, and they don't remember it coming out at different times. So, again, these are all Mandelas for us. So, let's see. Some kind of yammer about the pole shifts. But yeah, anyway, there was that was a while ago, so some of it might be pushed down now. But there was a number of people who were saying things, very Mandela things. So it's just kind of corroboration, because these people don't know anything about the Mandela effect community, but they're making the same observations that we made. Bill Bird, pretty much everyone had wisdom teeth, but they kind of sucked. Yeah, well, percentage of people that have wisdom teeth. Okay, so in my timeline, you had 4 of them. All right, wisdom teeth don't appear in about 35% of the population. I think that number's up a little bit from last time I checked. 35% don't have them. I'm going to be the weirdo soon, because not only did I get born with all 4 of them, but I never had them removed. So most people who were born with them had them removed. Now, how can 85% of adults have had their wisdom teeth removed when 35% of them were born without any wisdom teeth? So that does not leave 85% left to have them removed. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So are they saying percentage of people who were born with them then had them removed? The other thing that's weird is I saw several mentions when I was looking this up that they're saying that less and less people are being born with wisdom teeth these days. It's evolution. But they were just comparing it to a generation back. In my timeline, evolution did not happen that quickly. You had to survive. It had to show survival of the fittest, and then you had to have time to give birth to more people, and it would take generations and generations and generations for evolution to show itself. So they're being very loose with the term evolution these days. That's not a term that I would use. At least scientific version of the term evolution. I would use it for the ME, but not as the scientific definition. Okay, so has anyone noticed sternum pain? Yeah, my like around my lower back's been hurting a lot, and my knees. I've heard a few other mentions of those same locations. My knees have been really sore. Didn't think we had any more than 4. I'm lucky mine don't hurt. Usually not more than 4, but a bunch of people are born with none. They don't get any wisdom teeth in this timeline. I had 4 of them and all pulled out when I was 15 years old. Well, in this timeline, maybe you only had 2 of them. You'll never know if you had them all pulled. Do you still have the sockets, the slots back there for those teeth? I'd be curious. You might want to check. Yeah, 4 wisdom teeth is how it always was. You were really weird if you didn't get your 4 wisdom teeth. I've never even heard of anybody not getting them until recently. Somebody else brought that up on one of my comments, and that's what cued me in on that. But I'd mentioned this in a previous live stream, and I credited that person, but I don't remember who it was now. Had 4, pulled them all. Yes, that was standard for my timeline. You'd have 4, and you'd have them removed. Yep, 1 hour already. Thank you. Yeah, all of the people would get them around adulthood. That's signifying that they were now wise. They were wisdom teeth. But now, They still come in at around the same time, but not for everybody. I don't know if those people are not wise. I'm sure they're not going to say that, but my right arm has been sore. Shoot, it jumped. I missed the rest of it. My feet have been killing me. I think they look odd. Yeah, there's something going on with the feet. That was a little bit of like a few months ago for me, mostly, though. Well, depending on your age, knee pain starts to become a thing. Here's the thing. Most of my knee pain has gone away. So, depending on my age, I should be getting worse knee pain. But for a big, long stretch, I had none. Just lately, it snuck back. But I think when both knees act up at the same time, that's usually an ME thing, because I use those knees differently. They've been through different experiences. I play sports, so the jumping off leg gets a lot different kind of exercise than the stopping leg. So there's no reason for them to both hurt the same way at the same time. It's unlikely. People would say that they never came out, but they still had them. Never in my timeline have I ever heard of. I mean, you could get impacted where they get partway out, get stuck, but you would still see them in there, all squished in there, halfway out, when there'd still be white showing. Well, whatever. No. You know what? My knee pain went away for like the last year or so. If you all suddenly get joint pain at the same time, all the affected get joint pain at the same time on both sides, and then 2 weeks later, everybody's joint pain all disappears at the same time, that's probably a Mandela. If you really had something wrong with you, it would stick around. It would not all show up at the same time on everybody and then all disappear at the same time. I mean, I have stuff that was hurting on me last year that everybody else had hurting on them, and now it's all gone. And I'm a year older, so it should be worse now, but it's not. It's gone. So I don't want to hear that you're getting older thing. You know, I used that on myself for a while. That was the excuses I kept going. But you know what? It's not that. Like my shoulders were hurting. I noticed that shoulder change. My shoulders are great now. They don't hurt at all. So it's not because I'm getting older, because that pain. Small toe change. The one thing that people were talking about for toes. I'm going to go back to my old image now. Makes me glad I left this one up. Very convenient. Okay. The toe change that somebody pointed out to me that they noticed, and I agree, is this bump on the side of the toe. I don't remember it being there. I remember the toe being sort of at the end of the foot and then a smooth shot back. So there is like kind of a bump there now. The toes are wider apart. That is one thing. And they kind of shift back more. It used to be your foot would be more straight across. So those are the changes that I talked about maybe a month ago, maybe even more. So I do feel that since then the toes have continued to widen apart, than more than even the last time I did that video. But other than that, I don't really have anything to add too much on there. Somebody was also saying, let's see, it was was it that one? Oh yeah, the outside part of the foot. It doesn't really show here, but there's I'm actually looking at. There's kind of like two bumps on the side of the foot now. There used to be one, and somebody else also mentioned that one. That's not one that I noticed. So those are the foot changes that we have noticed so far. Call me wrong, but was joint pain a common thing in 20-year-olds even a decade ago? No, I have never heard of joint pain being common. To be honest, I don't really have joint pain that much, so it seems like I'll have it during the MEs, but just that one place, and then it'll be gone. So, smelly feet. Shut up. Need input. I'm not talking to you anymore. I get massive headaches behind the eyes. I sometimes get headaches. I didn't used to when I was younger. Lately, I've been trying a thing where I don't eat wheat. That really does seem to be helping, but I need to go longer to make sure. Was the foot always so arched on the bottom? Mine was. I've had high arches all my life, so. I know 20-year-olds with sudden joint issues. Yeah, I wonder if some of it is just Mandela stuff and it's written off. I mean, the kids now do eat a lot of crappy food and stuff compared to when we were kids, even. But I do notice that even people who don't follow the MEs, just people I know in everyday life, do seem to report similar problems that we're reporting in the ME community. So I do think that other people are experiencing it. We'll have neck pain, and my friend, oh, I have neck pain, and we'll all say we feel terrible, and I'll go to sports, and there won't be very many people there, and the people there will be saying that they're tired. So there does seem to be a pattern like that. The outside of both ankles look bigger than before on my feet. Yeah, there's just more bumps and stuff going on there, I think. Okay, so besides, I'm blessed with not having smelly feet. Either you have them or you don't. Thank goodness I did not get that one. Okay, so where are we at now? Okay, this one. Sea dragons were brought up by Julie Holcomb, a very common commenter on my channel. She comes up with a lot of them. She was mentioning another sea dragon, but this one actually caught my attention more. So these apparently are relatives of seahorses. I've been seeing them for the last few years, but they're getting more and more weird with these bright colored eggs all on the body here. They carry them. They're getting to be very Dr. Seuss-like now. Just really interesting creatures. They're not brand new for me. This one is a little older. I think this is the first one I saw that looks like leaves, but they're getting a lot more colorful now too. Just a lot weirder. So, in my old timeline, we just had seahorses. We did not have anything like this. Interestingly, they call it weedy sea dragon, but there looks like there's a lot of different colorations of these things too. In my old timeline, things would have kind of the same coloration. You would not have, minus maybe like dogs or something that we bred, but if there was one species, they would usually look all the same. Maybe some sexual dimorphism, but other than that, no. Let's see, here's another one. Purple. Oh, and maybe that one's not real. This one has a lot of good stripes. Okay, anyway, so new Mandanimal for me. Covered that one. Okay, this one's an interesting breakthrough one. Don't see my original article, but we'll take one of these. So basically, scientists have figured out how to do photosynthesis in a way that is actually efficient so that we can convert sunlight into energy. What's interesting about this is it's supposedly even more efficient than the plants. That was one that really shocked me because They always used to say that we could not replicate what the plants do, but now they're saying that we can do it better than them. Now they're saying that we had artificial photosynthesis for a long time, but the old process actually expended more energy than it yielded. I have not heard of them having artificial photosynthesis for a long time. I can't swear on that one, but I'm really suspicious of that one. But what they're saying now is that we're actually more efficient than plants and that we actually can gain energy from it now. So I just wanted to bring that one up because I found that very interesting. I'm wondering what we're going to get for solar panels and stuff if this kind of thing keeps up. I'm really hoping that solar can become really efficient because the price of electricity around here is really getting high. Okay, that's all the ones I found for this week, but I have a bunch left over from last week. Oh, this one's a good one. I'm not sure if anybody covered this before. All right, this one's pretty weird. You would have thought that you would have heard of this. I sure haven't. Apparently, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who used to be Franklin Delano Roosevelt for me, grew up wearing skirts and dresses and shoulder-length hair and a hat trimmed with a marabou feather because that was kind of standard in those days. That wearing a dress and all that blah was not gender-specific clothing. And so boys would wear all this girl stuff until they were a little older. Little Franklin Delano Roosevelt sat primly on a stool, his white skirt spread smoothly over his lap, his hands clasped a hat trimmed with the marabou feather. Shoot, I'm not seeing the image in here. I'm going to have to dig that one up. It's really a story of what happened to neutral clothing. So they're basically saying this girl-style clothing was neutral clothing. Why have young children's clothing styles changed so dramatically? I just think this is really weird. I'm really suspicious of this one. I've got to find that image. It was kind of a trip. Let me see if I can find that. All right, so there it is. That's Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This was gender-neutral clothing, supposedly. This is completely girls' clothing in my timeline. There is nothing neutral about this whatsoever. Even long hair, that is not gender-neutral clothing. I am sorry. No, just wasn't. Victorian era, a boy wears a pleated skirt and high-button baby boots and poses with ornate millinery. It's not gender neutral, just not. So anyway, that's a trip. You would think that you would have heard about that, but no. It was once expected that boys wore dresses and didn't cut their hair till age 6. Then we should be seeing all these boys in dresses, and that should have been explained. Oh, this is a boy. This was the thing. I mean, this really should have been something I heard about, because there would be a whole bunch of images of boys in dresses. Got to get some more water here. So, especially if it was our president. So, I mean, is there a bunch of images of all the other presidents in dresses then, too? I mean, if this was the expected thing, then were all the presidents in dresses? I don't know. Tripping me out. All right, so there's that one. Okay, this one was from Bob Bobertson. He mentioned this one about a week and a half ago. You're going to have to check in the mirror, but basically, I do agree with him. If you hold up your arm and you look on your armpit, he feels it's much more dented in under the armpit, that it used to be quite flat. I agree with that. I think that there's kind of a dent in the armpit that was not there before. We know that a lot of the muscular structure has changed, so it's not really all that surprising. But you guys might want to check out in your mirror. I only like long hair on adult guys, lol. If they have really good hair, I'm all right with it. But most of the guys who grow their hair out, they don't have good hair, and they should just cut it short. I mean, that's why I keep my hair short. My hair is very fine, and it just lays really flat if I let it grow long. So I like long hair, but my hair does not look good long. There's a difference between gender neutral and cross dressing. See, that's what's weird. They're saying it's neutral, but that's completely girly. That's not neutral. So girly is neutral now. That doesn't make any sense. But then when they're older, they switched over to regular men's clothing. So why are they saying it's neutral? I mean, it's not just like a long shirt. It's all frilly with feathers, and look at those shoes. I mean, those patent leather shoes with the high socks. That's all female. The dressing gown for christening was only thing boys wore that could be considered a dress. And I don't remember those being super frilly with feathers and stuff. Boys with long hair didn't have bangs across the forehead. Yeah, see, that's the thing. If you're just too lazy to cut it, that's different than trimming it all out like a girl. Is that his hair or a wig? Well, they're saying it was expected that boys didn't cut their hair till age 6. But I mean, obviously, with those bangs, there was cutting occurring, as somebody has mentioned. Scotty, try oil pelling and do some research in coconut oil as toothpaste. I agree if you have tooth problems and gum problems. Um, Oil pulling does have some science behind it. They have done research to show that if you swash your mouth with saturated fat, like coconut is the least gross one, it kills a lot of bacteria. Bacteria like sugars, and they don't, a lot of the dangerous mouth bacteria anyway, do not like fat. So fat is sort of a way to nuke bacteria. Eating less sugar obviously is good too, but before you go to bed, swash some coconut oil around your mouth and spit it out, and you will kill a lot of germs. No wonder they couldn't stand mom bringing out the baby pics. Yeah, really. What about Buster Brown? He was about that time and wore knee pants. All right, let's check it out. Buster Brown wore a dress. I don't know anything about Buster Brown, so this is not really helping. Maybe they're saying he was a little older. I'm not sure when the cutoff was supposed to be. Buster Brown suits. Breeching was the occasion when a small boy was first dressed in breeches. Young boys in the Western world were unbreeched and wore gowns or dresses till an age that varied between 2 and 8. Yeah. Okay, so that's the story, I guess. From the mid 16th century until the late 19th or early 20th century. Never heard of that. Breaching. Oh, okay. Anyway. Next. Alright, this one is from Velcra Defang, who was a commenter on my channel. Mentioned this one about 2 weeks ago. Apparently there's a brown panda now. That instead of being born all black and white, they're brown and white. Subspecies of the giant panda discovered in the 1960s, but not recognized as a subspecies until 2005. Never saw brown pandas before. This is a new one for me. It differs from the more familiar nominate species by its smaller skull and dark brown and light brown rather than black and white fur, and its smaller overall size. There are an estimated 200 to 300 qinling pandas living in the wild. In 1989, a female of the species was captured and brought to the Xi'an Zoo to be mated with regular giant panda. Her offspring were black and white, but reportedly started becoming brownish as it aged. So anyways, yes, there is now this qinling panda. Some images of this thing. Alright, so these brown ones, I guess, are the qinlings. So, interesting. New one for me. They're fairly cute. So I guess they're smaller too. That's interesting. So if you saw one of these, you probably would have just assumed it was a color morph, but no, it's a whole separate species with a different body shape too. What the heck is that thing? What is that? I don't know what kind of creature that is. I think it's one of the, I think it's one of those weird sun bears that's been shaved. So you can see the sun thing there. Looks like it's missing a bunch of hair. Huh, weird. Okay, so there's that. That one's quite new for me. I have not seen that one yet. This one is an older ME, but the horses now, the horses are amazing. The horses with these manes, these are supposedly natural. I mean, we had Clydesdale had a little bit of floof on the feet, but the manes and tails on these gypsy vanners, they're getting more and more. It's just ridiculous. I know you could say it's breeding or something, but we just did not. I don't remember more. It was about 3 years ago I first started seeing these, maybe 2 or 3. Just beautiful. We didn't have those. I don't know if you've seen that silver one, though. I saw that one a couple years ago also. I mean, it looks like it's made out of silver almost, these silver horses. Just amazing. So you were getting a lot of new colors of horse. I mean, does that even look like a real horse? Just so beautiful. So skinny, too. So anyways, yes, these new horses. The gypsy horse was mentioned by Odin Lush, another commenter on my channel. Good observation. Moon bears. Okay, aren't they moon bears? All right, wait. We might have more than one. Moon bear versus sun bear. The moon bear's chest patch is mostly creamish, white like the moon, and shaped like a letter V. The sun bear is the smallest of all bears and nearly half the size of the moon bear. The sun bear's ears are small and round, while the moon bear's ears are large and stand out. Yeah, originally the first one I saw was the sun bear. The moon bear is a lot newer one. I think I've covered that. The necks on these are looking weird, both of them. They're looking like cobras now. But anyway, so yeah, this moon bear is a lot newer for me. There's a lot of bears coming out, and a lot of them have these patterns on the neck now. It's weird. The 8 bear species of the world. I think, see, I've been on this one before. North American black bear that's not always black. The brown bear that's not always brown. Polar bear, Asiatic black bear. We didn't have that. Uh, this is one that has some of the patterning on the neck. Oh, and they have really weird color morphs too. Andean bear. There's the panda. Sloth bear. Oh, those things are looking ugly. Sun bear. The spot patterns are starting to combine and look really weird on these sun bears. I don't see the moon bear on there. But anyways, interesting. Bilbert, I'm not even going to answer that joke. We'll soon have growing back hearts. I wouldn't be shocked. Let's just see where we're at on that. Unlike newts and salamanders, humans adults cannot spontaneously regrow damaged organs. However, recent research suggests that mammals do have the ability to regenerate the heart for a brief period about the first week of life. See, that's how it starts. The first week of life, then it'll be when you're younger, and then it'll be, oh, it turns out you can. Yeah, it's going to be slow. It's like the brain. They used to say you couldn't grow new neurons, then later, yes, you can. They used to say that you could not grow new eggs. The females, us women, humans, could not grow new eggs after birth. Now they can. Mechanism to regenerate heart tissue identified. I think we'll find that it'll start to surprise. Heart muscle can replenish itself. Huh. Interesting. Let's just look at that real quick. It's humbling to see medical dogma overturned. Heart can grow new muscle cells and does so regularly, albeit slowly, in the course of a lifetime. This is a blockbuster discovery since the heart has been pegged as a disadvantaged organ in terms of injury, healing, and repair. The heart can only heal itself slowly, often leaving behind thinned and baggy scar tissue devoid of healthy beating muscle. Okay, so we're on the road. We're on the road. This is no abstract ho-hum science factoid. Huh. Well, okay. In several studies using cocktails of patients' own bone marrow stem cells, recent studies in rats have gone so far as to create a matrix for these cells. Okay, so they're working on it. Also, they're saying we can regrow heart tissue. This doesn't surprise me. The heart has changed so much. Google horses with mustaches. Yes, that was making all the rounds. It's very popular. Emmy, I agree with that one, that is not. Those aren't horses from my old timeline. Horses with mustaches. Look at that baloney. Yep. I think there's more images now than there was. Uh-oh. Computer's looking a little flimsy there. Right. Remember, panda, grizzly bear, polar, and black bears. I also had brown bears, and that's it. I don't think there was anything else. Black bears, brown bears, polar. Okay, yeah, brown bears were grizzlies. I'm sorry, you covered that. Pandas, that was it. Yeah, I agree with you. That was it. All the rest are new to me. Some of them a few years old, but new. I think I saw the sun bear before I knew the ME, so that was more than 2 years ago. Obviously, the polar bear and the panda. I'm sure you remember the panda bear. Although, interestingly, I think I was about 18 before I heard about panda bears. So I do wonder now if maybe that was an ME then. Okay, so next one. This one was sort of one. Just seems like we're coming up with a lot of these weird old machines. And obviously, I can't swear that this wasn't in my old timeline, but it is very weird. So they had this violin that it was a machine that would play all these violins. It was from 100 years ago. There's just a whole bunch of really weird. I mean, in my old timeline, the gramophone and stuff was a big deal. But now we have these machines. This machine can play all these violins. Phonolis violina, a self-playing mechanical violin orchestrion player. So it could play all these. I mean, there's just, I don't know what to say, but I think I'm really suspicious about that one. All right, let's see. All right, so another tech before its time kind of thing. Apparently, this monoplane managed to fly a short while before the official Wright Brothers one. It's recognized that it achieved liftoff, glided for a short time and returned. Making it the first successful powered flight in history, not the first self-powered one. So for me, the Wright brothers were the first successful powered flights. So now they're saying it was 1874 for this monoplane thing. Again, another one I'm really suspicious of. This is another one I can't swear to, but it seems like for everything where there was a set invention, they're going back quite some time and saying, oh, actually, this was invented much earlier. And so this is kind of an example of that. Kind of keep an eye on this because I think we might see more of this as, maybe, oh, this was forgotten or this was covered up. It's not there yet, but what was weird is apparently this is supposed to be some kind of it used a very compact high-speed circulation steam engine for which Felix du Temple applied for a patent in 1876. So I don't know why they're saying it wasn't self-powered because, the steam engine was on the plane, so the plane was powering itself. Very weird that this would be skipped. Can you imagine a tiny little steam engine that could be put on a plane and still the plane take off? After all that yaya about how the Wright brothers had to make sure that everything was really light, and now they have a freaking steam engine on this one. I don't remember there being steam engines that size, but there's so many weird things with the old tech now. Okay, no way. How old is this machine? Are we talking about this mono plane? It's 1874 for that. 1870. All right, patent drawing 1874. Applied for patent on 1876. Was displayed at 1878 Exposition Universelle, World Fair, Paris. Wingspan of 13 meters, weighed only 80 kilograms, so it weighed 180 pounds without the pilot. So anyway, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked that there was some kind of a weird flying thing, but with a mini steam engine on it, that's the part that gets me. First car to reach 60 mph was electric car in 1899. Yeah, it looked like a little submarine. That one has been well covered, but I agree that is very suspicious. And they had I actually did a thing some time ago for Recon, and the first buses now were electric, or the first trolleys were electric now too. The early trolleys were electric. I don't know if it was the first ones, but there was a bunch of electric trolleys that were later replaced by gasoline engines. Oh, the violin playing machine, how old is that? They said it was like 100 years old. Hold on. 100 years old. Self-playing violin, the eighth wonder of the world. Made its debut in 1910, so it's a little older than 100 years. So it's like 108 years, at least. And assuming it made its debut then, so it was probably a little older. Billed as the eighth wonder of the world. This was a wonder of innovation at the time. All right, so I'm going to play a touch of it here. Oops, yak. Let's jump ahead to the good part. All right, it's going to be hard to find the part where they play it. All talk and no play. All right, so it's like a punch card system. Interesting. Anyway, you get the idea. I don't want to get a copyright strike. Car phone in the 1900s. Yeah, a lot of this has been covered. What are the seven wonders of the world? Seven wonders of the world. Great Pyramid of Giza. Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. Hanging Gardens, I remember. I remember Lighthouse. Statue of Zeus. The ones I don't remember are Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. Mausoleum. No, I think I remember that. Colossus of Rhodes. Stonehenge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, that's more than 7. What are the 7 wonders of the world? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 things mentioned there. Some of these I didn't really have this super memorized, but I do not remember Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. I do not remember Mausoleum of Halicarnassus. What are the original 7 wonders? Pyramids, Hanging Gardens, Statue of Zeus, Colossus of Rhodes, Lighthouse. I'm not sure about those 2, but I can't swear to that one. Those are the original, anyway, supposedly. There can be like 10 versions of the 7 wonders here. What are the new 7 wonders? What are the old 7 wonders? What is the 8th wonder? Scientists have likely found the location of New Zealand's magical pink and white terraces of Lake Rotomahana. Never heard of that one. Well, maybe that's the 8th wonder. So I bet they're going to say it was written about and yum, yum, yum. And now we found it. The White Terrace. Huh. Well, those would have been nice. Yep, finding stuff all over. Where's the Great Wall of China? Haha, funny. In the 1700s, they could make marble statues, palaces, fountains, but they didn't know kind of sewers and toilets. You know, that's changing because now they're starting to say that that they did have plumbing way back. I've seen some articles on that. How many Great Walls do we have now? Yeah, I know there's that India one. There's walls showing up all over. There's new walls in a lot of places. All right, so that one, monoplane. This one's interesting because there's just been continuing shifts on human adaptability. In this particular one, this child was found to have almost no brain. You can see there's a little bit. It's been dubbed the child with no brain. In my timeline, you could not survive with that little of brain, but in this timeline, I guess you can squeak by. This child. See, also, like, this kind of thing where there was no head. I mean, people just wouldn't survive in my timeline like that. So, but that one might be that progeria where they age. Anyway, so this child was born with no brain. They say there's some brain in there, obviously. But he does pretty good. He survives. No major problems. So anyway, boy was born without a brain. Oh, some of it grew back. Oh, that's interesting. Lacking a brain. Noah was born without 98% of the brain. The missing 98% of Noah's brain actually started to grow back once he was born. Even though Noah's developmental process did not take place at the same pace as other children in his age group, he still had the ability to learn how to walk and talk, and by the time he was 4, his brain had achieved a normal level of growth. Now, that's a new one. I'd only superficially looked at this, but last I checked, he just survived. I guess his brain grew back now. That's interesting. This one was by Jason, who is a commenter on the channel. Good job. Yeah, the whole brain grew back after birth now. That's interesting. Couldn't do that before. There was nothing like that. Okay, here's another tech before your time. Title here is interesting. Back to the Future, Media News revives print your own newspaper. So supposedly, this is like the first printers. You thought printers were recent, but apparently you could print your own newspaper via the radio versus this early printer. And this one was from Julie Holcomb, good find. So this is like an early printer. So they were thinking that the newspaper people you could just print your own. 1939, the radio station owned by St. Louis Dispatch inaugurated trial of the first daily newspaper edition transmitted by radio signals to giant facsimile printers located in homes. The technology had been under development since 1934. In fact, the first patent was issued in France in 1843. So the early fax. I'm not sure if this was covered or not, but Julie Holcomb brought this one up. And yeah, I do not recall there being faxes being sent by radio waves before. Fax editions were tried again in the 1980s as a way to deliver news to offices as fax machines. So the early fax now is a lot earlier. So yeah, I guess they're calling it a fax. I call it a printer, but whatever. Does that mean we can do brain transplants like liver transplants if it'll just grow itself? I don't know if you get a brain transplant, that won't be you though. It'll be the other guy who had that brain or something. I don't know. What if you get half a brain from somebody else? I don't know. I don't know on that one. Maybe you just need the part with the consciousness. There's a man with most of his head missing too. Bizarre. Yeah, those people just wouldn't live with the giant dents in their head and missing giant pieces and stuff. They're just... Humans survive with more damage now. H2O is not water now. H2O is not water now. Yeah, I covered that one a couple weeks ago, I think it was. H2O is H and O and O2 and all these things, but it's not water anymore. They're saying that H2O, actual H2O, does not act like water, and water does not act like H2O, and blah, blah, blah. Alright, got that one. Alright, this one. I covered these weird oak galls last time, but now there's another thing that is on top of that. So I talked about these oak galls. So basically a wasp comes and lays an egg in a budding leaf, and then the egg disrupts the leaf growth and makes these galls, and then the wasp eggs can incubate inside the gall and eat the gall as food and be protected in there, and then later hatch out and the gall drops to the ground. And since there's not too many of these galls, it doesn't really hurt the oak tree that much. But now apparently they have a plant that'll actually go grow into the galls and then like drains the wasp bodies. That's like super creepy, because in my old timeline all we had was the Venus flytraps, but now we have these sort of like there's just more weird plants. So this vine actually goes in here and sucks the life out of these insects, and that's really creepy. Drains their bodies like it's like a vampire vine. When the scientists opened galls, they were in the grip of the delicate orange vines. They found wasp mummies inside. The vines had penetrated the galls and drained the insect to husks. Turn that thing off. So anyway, supposedly this is kind of newish, but I have a feeling that this is going to spread. "58% of galls had been attacked by the vine, which seemed to prefer larger galls." It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, how does the vine... It doesn't have eyeballs. How does it know the size of the gall? I mean, if you were a vine, wouldn't you just go to the nearest gall? Are you going to go, oh no, that gall's too big, too small. I want a bigger gall. I'm going to look at all the galls in a 10-foot radius and pick the largest one. I don't know. That whole thing is just weird. Just weird. Okay, so this one was found by Stand Up for Freedom, one of the commenters on my channel that comes up with a lot of Emmys. Wait, is that by him? No, that was by him. Okay, then there's another one we covered last time. All right, then this one. This is actually kind of a near and dear one for me, because when I first learned of the ME and I was watching TV and I was kind of flipping out, and I turned on a nature channel and I saw this, and this made me flip out more because I know it wasn't in my old timeline. It's these stingrays that fly through the air. They jump out of the water and kind of fly. I mean, I'd heard of dolphins doing that, but not stingrays. So they jump out and really far too, and I kind of flipped out because I knew they never did that before. Look at how far out of the water these things are, and the pointy parts in the front look different to me too. See if I can get a little bit of a video here. All right, that's obviously not rays. The way that they all clump together in giant masses is also totally new. And they're saying that they've only just discovered that, but... Okay, so let's see one of these guys jump out. Did not used to do that. That was by Jay Emblin, a commenter on my channel. I agree with you. That is an ME. They did not used to do that for me. And that's kind of one of the ones that reminds me of when I first learned of the ME. I might be kind of caught up. Let's see. Is there any left? There might be a few in here. Okay. Trifoliata. I'm going to try to get done with all these MEs. All right, this one is really weird. This plant changes its leaf to match the plants that it's near. Okay, so if it's it twines around, say it twines around an oak tree. Now it doesn't stick its roots into the oak tree or anything. It's just using the oak tree as scaffolding. But what it'll do is it'll change its leaves to match the leaves of the oak tree so it blends in. I'm not even sure if I see what the point of that is. I mean, what difference does it make? Who are you trying to fool? Who cares if you're not belonging on the oak tree or not, unless it's humans? I mean, but anyways, I don't get this tree, but okay, so this one is the trifoliata, and this is the whatever the tree is supposed that it's on. So you could see that the trifoliata has gotten a lot like, it's not 100%, but it's a lot like this, the plant it's growing on. And then see if these others will load at all. Come on, you can do it. Load. So these other images show you that they will change quite a bit. They're not really good at the super zigzaggy leaves. This is not really loading at all. How does it do this? Carrasco thinks perhaps something is going on in the space between the two plants. They imagine the busher tree may be emitting airborne chemicals. Now, this is a storyline I've been seeing a lot lately, that plants communicate chemically. It's a very interesting storyline. I think we're going to hear a lot more about that. It's coming up everywhere. But there were no plants that in my timeline that could mimic the leaves, and not even for any specifically good reason. Okay, so all of these are different ones. I'm trying to find one that shows it. Okay, here, this one looks good. Okay, so there it's mimicking those kind. Here, it's more stubby. Here it's gotten really long to match more like these oak leaves. The one thing I did not see it any good at was matching really spiky leaves, like maple leaves, though. But very close. See here, these spiky leaves, it only could do this. It could not get all the way to the spiky leaf. But see here, it's totally smooth. Here it's got some spikes to kind of match that. It couldn't quite match that, but it sure tried. So interesting, yeah. I've just never heard of anything like that. Nope. I'm calling Mandela on that one. All right, this one. This one is called the Mad Hatter Pillar instead of Mad Caterpillar. Instead of caterpillar, it's Hatterpillar. So each time this thing molts, it leaves its old head on so that it builds up a stack of heads like hats. That's the storyline on this. The Mad Hatterpillar, because of its distinctive exoskeleton feature, every time it sheds the head portion of its exoskeleton, the exoskeleton stays attached to its body, over time developing through its lifespan. The head grows bigger and sheds increasingly larger exoskeleton shells, which build upon each other. See if I can find some close-ups so you can see these. Okay, so these are all like its old heads stacked up, and this is the latest head. So that's just weird. I just can't see any advantage. Maybe what the birds get all, if the birds attack, they'll get the old heads and not the new heads. Anyway, a really weird Mandela thing for me is this Mad Hatterpillar. Covered that one. I think that's it. I'm done. I'm only like 1 minute late. I'm gonna check comments here. It's hard-headed as it gets older. I'm picking that joke. Periodolia. Orchids, periodolia. Okay, let's do that. Orchids. Oh, okay. Those are those weird orchids that look like all kinds of weird things, I think is what we're talking about. So orchids that look like birds, orchids that look like little naked dudes, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's been tons of those. Oops, where did it all go? See, like these things. Yeah, I definitely have seen those. More dudes. This one's a new one for me. I have not seen the spaceman dude. When it first came out, it was just these. Looks like there's a couple new versions of it now. Look, that guy's got a hairy chest. Excuse me. Little dancers. Yeah, no, I didn't have. This one I saw about a year ago. I did not have any of these. Oh, looks like a monkey face. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Ooh, look at that one. The orchids are going crazy. Darth Vader's head. Just about anything can be any creature, any joke can now be an orchid. I saw these ones about 2 years ago. That one's new. I have not seen that one. I looked through these about a year and a half ago, but there's a lot of new ones. Little baby in a little blanket. Yes, it's all just human imagination makes you see these. This one, is this one even real? That one looks like it might be photoshopped. I'm a little suspicious of that one. I'm a little suspicious of that one, but yeah, there's a few new ones of these. I think we'll see more and more of these. Big surprise there. Okay, let's see where we at. Stream status bad. The orchids have been around for a while now, a couple of years. Some of them, yes, but it looks like there's newer ones. I had a stick caterpillar or something weird in my house. There's some new bugs around here too, big ones. The kind of bugs you wouldn't have missed. The chat seems to have stalled for me. I'm chatting only with myself, which is boring. Try going up to the URL and refreshing it. Just click on it and then hit enter. A lot of times that will fix things. I don't know if new, but the bonsai trees, little trees with normal sized fruit. Now I have not seen that before. And there was a period when I was all into bonsai. Let's see. And I don't remember any of them ever giving out regular fruit. Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Because trees would have to reach a certain size before they would give out fruit. Oh, what a trip. Look at that giant apple. Oh, no, I don't remember that. I've never seen anything like that. Let me just see if anything comes up just randomly if I just click on bonsai. That can't be real. No, that's some fake thing from China. Okay. No, there's some. Let's see, what's this? Ah, okay. Okay, so those are like little peppers. What's up with all the colors? Yeah, I'm pretty suspicious about those. Wow. There's some nice bonsai now, though. Air bonsai? Are you freaking kidding me? I'm guessing that there's a magnetic ball in there that keeps that aloft. All right. I'm really suspicious about those giant fruits on the little bonsais. But I have to say that I'm not. If you look at normal bonsai, I'm not seeing a lot of fruit. There's a few. But it may have been something I wouldn't have seen. I'm still really suspicious about it, but I never specifically looked for fruit tree bonsai in the past. So it could be just something I didn't know about. I am really suspicious of it, though. Oh, see, now there's one. All right, now that what I'm just looking for is, would they come up within a normal search? But yeah, no, they're coming up. Not really high, but they are coming up. Because if they wouldn't come up in a normal search, then maybe I would have just never seen them. But I did spend a lot of time looking at bonsais. There was a time when I was really into bonsai. And I've, gone to exhibitions on bonsai, researched them. I finally decided that I am too busy and they're too much work for me to. It's like having a pet. You have to take care of them very often. And I decided that I couldn't do that, year after year. So I didn't get one, but I really like them. So yeah, anyway, interesting. I am suspicious about that. All right, anyways, it's getting late and it's already 10 minutes past the 2 hours, and I do have to get up early, so I'm going to cut out here. I think I've covered everything I wanted to get through. So I'm going to sign out here. Get up here. So, anyways, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you.